The reading for this morning is from the 24th chapter of Luke's Gospel, verses 1 through 12. On the first day of the week, at early dawn, the women came to the tomb, taking the spices that they had prepared. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they went in, they did not find the body. While they were perplexed about this, suddenly 2 men in dazzling clothes stood beside them. The women were terrified and bowed their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen. Remember how he told you, while he was still in Galilee, that the Son of Man must be handed over to sinners and be crucified, and on the third day rise again?" Then they remembered his words, and returning from the tomb, they told all this to the 11 and to all the rest. Now it was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the other women with them who told this to the apostles. But these words seemed to them an idle tale, and they did not believe them. But Peter got up and ran to the tomb. Stooping and looking in, he saw the linen cloths by themselves. Then he went home, amazed at what had happened. The word of the Lord. Happy Easter! At Trinity Cathedral this morning, our diocesan bishop, the Right Reverend Betsy Monnett, will be presiding and preaching. For those of you who can't make it to church, I prepared this short Easter reflection. The passage I just read from Luke's Gospel, like all of the Gospels, has its own take on the story of Jesus. But even so, all of the Gospels agree that the first witnesses to the resurrection were women. And for me, that's a sign of authenticity. As we heard, women were not considered credible witnesses. The male apostles thought they were telling an idle tale. Some things never change. If the early Christians had made up the story of the resurrection, surely they would have had men as the first witnesses to the empty tomb. Instead, we heard that women encountered the empty tomb for the first time. Peter was among those who didn't believe them, but Peter was a changed man after denying Jesus 3 times, and as Luke says, Jesus turned and looked at him. Peter thought the women might actually be telling the truth, so he got up and he ran to the tomb. He found it completely empty and didn't encounter any men in dazzling clothes who asked him why he was there. He was simply amazed, and he walked slowly home. And that's where the reading ends today. Luke's Gospel goes on, of course, with several resurrection appearances of Jesus, but today all we have is an empty tomb, terror and wonder, and the fulfillment of a prediction. What we're left with is a mystery. We want to see Jesus, to jump ahead to resurrection appearances. Today Jesus is not there to be seen, only the promise that he's alive, somewhere. It's almost a letdown. It isn't that how we live our lives. We live them in hope, in the expectation that someday we will encounter the living Christ. We want to run to the tomb and find it empty, and then turn and see Jesus. But instead, we have to wait for Jesus to come to us, often when we least expect it. So on this Easter day, we live in hope. During the 50 days of the Easter season, we'll learn more about what hope looks like and what resurrection life means. But at the end of those days, we will still be left with plenty of mystery, because there's more here than our own human minds can understand. And that's why on this day, more than any day, all we can really say to one another are those wonderful Easter words of joy and belief. Alleluia, Christ is risen. The Lord is risen indeed. Alleluia.